Okay. The scripture that the Lord gave me for this service was in Isaiah 41, verse 10. And it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Fear not, for I am with you." And it's been said that several people have said recently that fear not phrase, or do not be afraid, or similar, appears 365 times in the Bible. I can't verify, but that's what they say. One for every day of the year. Fear not. Do not be afraid. And I recently heard a preacher say that the only way that the human heart can fear not is to be absolutely persuaded that I am with you, saith the Lord, that the Lord is present with us. When we know that God is with us, it overcomes our fear. Perfect love casts out fear. What is perfect love? God is love. Perfect love is the love that God gives to the world. He says, I will be with you always. I will never leave you nor forsake you. My God will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. In Romans 8:32, it says, "He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also with him graciously give us all things?" My God will supply all your needs. So if we know that God is with us, and we know that God will supply all our needs, we have nothing to be afraid of. God's presence is with us. We all understand, I think, that God is omnipresent. He's everywhere all the time. And that's a vast thing. In this whole universe, God is in every cell, every atom. He made it. It's his. And he inhabits the whole thing. Through him, nothing was made that has been made. He made it all. He's in it all. In him, all things hold together. We all know that and we understand it. But if we zoom in a little bit, or a great deal, we find that God's presence is actually now within us. When Jesus went to be with the Father, he rose from the dead, he ascended into heaven, went to be with the Father, he sent his Spirit to live within us. So his presence is within us. And if we zoom in even further, we can find that in times of panic or crisis or fear, that God is very, very particularly present with us, as if we were the only person on earth, as if he indeed had left the 99 and gone after that one that got lost or got sick or got addicted or got caught up in something or whatever it might have been. He's come specifically to us for us. Charles Wesley's mother, Mrs. Wesley, had 19 children. And I think 8 or 9 of them survived to adulthood, but there was a mob of them. And somebody once asked her, they said, "Mrs. Wesley, do you have a favorite?" And she said, "Do you know, I do." She said, "The sick one, until he's well again." She said, "The one that's away, until he's safely home." She loved them all equally, but there's a particular focus on the one that has a need. And God is there, very present in our needs. When I married Trev, my husband, he said, "I've been entrusted with a life. Somebody else's happiness and security is my business now. And he lived as though my life was more important than his. I always thought that was perfect love, but he was only a man. And I wasn't particularly sort of worthy of great love, I don't suppose, but we were very, very close, me and Trev, and we cried out for children. We wanted a family. We cried out to God for children, and nothing happened. And maybe some of you know, there's an ache, there's a gnawing, yearning ache in that for women. Anyway, that's all I know. And sometimes I thought I would die of it. The longing, I wanted children. And Trev used to say, he'd say, darling, I think it's just going to be you and me. And every now and again he would say, just you and me, darling, just you and me. And there came a moment when that was enough. Just you and me. And we were very, very close to the Lord at that time. We hadn't been long saved. We were kind of wild-eyed. Nobody got past us without hearing the gospel. We'd sit in the evenings and read scriptures to one another. We talked about God all the time. So there were actually three of us. There was the Lord, and there was me and Trev. And when Trev died, I can remember standing in that howling wasteland of grief and loneliness and fear for the future and all those sorts of things. And I remember once saying to the Lord, I said, Lord Jesus, it's just you and me now. And as soon as I said it, the nanosecond that left my lips, the presence of God was just so strong, so powerful, just enfolding me in that moment. He comes when we need him. If we're aware that his presence is always with us, it's very particular in that moment. And I sort of, the tangle, the things that come upon us in life. I'm talking about bereavement. It's only one of many, many struggles and difficulties and hardships and heartaches and pains that we go through in life. And they're all, they just keep on coming sometimes. We think, will it ever end? Things just keep happening. And it reminded me of the places I've lived in the past, like a sort of metaphor for these things. I lived, for example, in Brunei for a couple of years. It's on the island of Borneo, and it's jungle. It's the home of orangutans and things like that. It's thick jungle. And I lived there for a couple of years, and there was a British Army base there. The British Army were training the Brunei military, and there was also a Gurkha regiment attached to the British Army. The Gurkhas, in case if you don't know, are from Nepal, near India, and they're very fierce fighters, very loyal, and they're also very, very good at tracking and stealth missions and things like that. And just a quick anecdote, there was an exercise one day. The British Army was doing an exercise, and they said to the British soldiers, the squaddies, they said, okay, you go into the jungle, find yourself a place to dig in, make a hideout. When the whistle blows, we're sending the Gurkhas in to find you. So the soldiers all disappeared in different directions, found a place to hide. This one particular soldier, he's gone into the jungle, and there's a big root system from this massive tree, and he thinks he can wriggle down underneath and pull all the foliage over him, and he thinks it's a really ripper hiding place. So he does that, and he's lying there perfectly still, and the day passes, and the Gurkhas are finding all the soldiers and everything, and this guy's in there thinking, yes, I'm going to win this thing, they haven't found me. So the middle of the afternoon, the whistle blows to say that the exercise is finished, and the guy's still in his hideout going, you little beauty, I've won this thing. And he gets up to wriggle out and finds that his leg is tied to a tree. Oh, and the Gurkhas were having fun with him. They'd found him, they'd tied his leg to a tree, and they disappeared into the jungle again, and he hadn't even known they were there. So I say that to say, when us Europeans would get adventurous and think of going into the jungle, not me, I never went into the jungle, but people did, they'd have a day out and go to the jungle, and they'd go into the jungle and they would inevitably get lost. And sometimes if they hadn't told anyone where they were going, they could be in there for 24 hours or more. And they were delirious with panic, screaming and running around in circles, covered in leeches and mosquito bites. And they were bleeding often. And they would send the Gurkhas in to get them. And the Gurkha soldier would turn up, he'd track them down and turn up, and there they would be, the absolute blind panic. And apparently they would cling to that Gurkha soldier as if, their life did depend on it. And he would lead them to safety. And he knew where the pitfalls were, he knew where the difficult places were, where the dangers were, and so forth, and he would lead them to safety. And apparently when they came out of the jungle, sometimes they had to have their fingers prized loose from that little Gurkha soldier because they were just clinging on like that. And when we have those sorts of difficulties in our lives, where we just can't see a way out, and everything is, you can imagine, it's a metaphor, the jungle, there's dense foliage and you're thrashing about, you can't see where you're going. Underfoot there are holes and root systems and trailing vines and all sorts of things to ensnare and entangle you. There are things attacking you, mosquitoes biting you, leeches sucking the very blood, the life out of you, and you don't know where to go or what to do. And God says, fear not, for I am with you. And you can sense the presence of God, and he will send somebody to help you. Somebody that knows the terrain better than you do. Somebody that's better able to find their way than you are, and he'll send them. And it was similar, complete opposite in a way, when I lived in outback Australia. And there for hundreds and hundreds of miles, it's low scrubland, the earth is dry and cracked, there's no water, it's blazing heat of summer. And you way in the distance, hundreds of miles to the nearest house, never mind the nearest town. And if you're lost out there, the person you want to see coming towards you out of the shimmering heat haze, the person you want to see is a full-blood Aboriginal. Because he knows how to find water. He knows that you can eat this lizard, but you can't eat that. He knows the way out of there, and you will cling to him, and he will lead you to safety. God will send people. When Trev died, just in the days before Trev died, I said, Trev, what am I going to do without you? What am I going to do on my own? And Trev said, you won't be on your own, darling. He said, God will place around you beautiful people to help you. And that's exactly what happened. Beautiful people around me to help me. A neighbour did the practical things that I couldn't do. I wouldn't have got through COVID without him. The Lord will bless him bountifully for what he did in those days. But we were mutually blessed because one person that came into my world in those days had just lost her parents, both her parents. So she needed a mother figure. So I was that for her. She was what I needed for me. And when God reaches into a situation, everybody is blessed. And that's exactly what God did. But his presence, that sense of his presence, King David knew it very, very well. And he said, in your presence is fullness of joy. And sometimes in our situations, in our circumstances, we cannot imagine fullness of joy. But sometimes if we take our eyes off our circumstances and fix them on God, we can feel it bubbling up inside us. And he will fill us with joy. He'll fill us with peace in his presence. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. If you feel, I'm talking about outback Australia, if you imagine in the desert, do you remember Moses? Moses was, I believe, he was next in line to be Pharaoh. I think he was in line to be the next Pharaoh. It's not written, but it's what I think. He had everything the world had to offer, every luxury, all the riches and the luscious thing, everything this world had to offer belonged to Moses. But he found himself, the circumstances of his life, he found himself in the backside, what the Bible calls the backside of the desert, tending somebody else's sheep. But that's where he found himself standing on holy ground before the burning bush. And God wanted him there. God brought him there by a series of circumstances because God wanted to commission him for the calling on his life. He wasn't called to be the next Pharaoh. He was called to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. And that's where God met him. So maybe if you're in a desert place now, maybe if you're finding yourself in the wilderness and you're thinking, what is this for? And God hasn't sent somebody to lead you out. Maybe he's called you in there for some particular purpose, to meet with you there. And if you remember when Moses did bring the children of Israel out of Egypt, and they were in the wilderness traveling, and God led them by a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. There was one point where God says, I'm not coming with you. You go on ahead. I'm not coming with you. And they said, if you're not coming, we're not going. Without the presence of God, we are not moving. They understood the presence of God. God is always with us now. I just want to read from Psalm 139 what David knew of the presence of God. And if we can get ourselves thinking along these lines, see ourselves in this scenario, I think it's very, very helpful. Let me just read a little bit of Psalm 139. This is David. He says, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you're there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, or if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. David also said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Fear not, for I am with you, says the Lord. Whatever has brought you here today, whatever need you may have, whatever heartache, whatever dreadful diagnosis, whatever addiction, whatever pain, whatever heartache has brought you here today, hear the voice of the Lord saying, fear not, for I am with you.